Welcome to the Big Blue Breakdown. I'm Paul Dottino as we go through the New York Giants Gameballs and Gassers for their 34-17 upset victory over the arch rival Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football at MetLife Stadium. Now, folks, there are a lot of things that we could start with here, but I think the first thing we want to do, besides talk about the Giants' two rookies, Cam Skattebo and, of course, Jaxson Dart, who led the way in this win, we want to go through some of the things that the Giants coaching staff liked and didn't like in general during the course of the evening. Because, let's face it, even though those two guys were the stars, the Giants got a terrific team effort from their supporting cast in the passing game. They also got a strong performance from their defense and a stellar effort on the special teams unit as well. So let's go through some of those general things before we get to our specific game balls and gassers. First up, some interesting notes for the Giants. They have now won 6 of their last 17 meetings against Philadelphia at home. Because indeed, it's been very difficult to beat that team if you're Big Blue. In fact, they've only won 9 of the last 33 meetings against the Eagles dating back to the beginning of the 2009 season, and they have won only 2 of their last 9 matchups against the Eagles. But having said that, yes, they were obviously heavy underdogs, and they did come out with a huge victory that puts them at 2-0 at home. And by the way, both of their home wins were really exciting and thrilling for near capacity crowds. And so the Giants are now 2-0 in the Meadowlands, and you have to feel they're starting to build a little bit of a home field advantage. Heck, 2-1 in their last 3 games. Both of those wins coming in East Rutherford. All right, what are some of the things that the Giants coaching staff probably really liked? On offense, they had 25 first downs. They were 11 of 16 on third down conversions for 69%. They ran the ball 39 times. Again, 39 times. 172 yards rushing, 4.4 yards a carry. Skattebo had 98 yards. Dart had 58. The Giants only threw the ball, and let me just confirm this, 26 times. So again, just like their win over the Chargers, top-heavy run-pass mixture in favor of the run. They had no turnovers. And they were 3 for 3 converting touchdowns in the red zone. All very important factors for the offense as to why they were able to prevail in this game. Defensively, believe it or not, the Giants held the Philadelphia Eagles to only 1 for 9 on third downs for an incredibly low 11%. The Eagles gained just 73 yards rushing on 20 carries. That's only good for a 3.7 yard per carry average. They got sacked 3 times by the Giants defense and gave the ball away twice. Now, why is that important? Well, coming into this week's games, the Eagles were the only team in the NFL to have not thrown an interception. And Jalen Hurts threw one on Thursday night. They were also the team with the fewest amount of giveaways in the NFL. Only one. It was a Jalen Hurts fumble. But on this night, not only did Hurts get picked off, but the Eagles also lost a fumble. So the Giants were +2 in the turnover ratio. Huge stat. Remember, Tom Coughlin always said over 80% victories when you are +2 or better in the turnover ratio. Not to leave out special teams, the Giants held the Eagles to 16 yards combined on 2-punt returns, and on 5 kickoff returns, they held them to less than 17 yards per return. Again, a stellar job by the Giants' coverage units. In general, there was very little not to like for this coaching staff. The Giants did give up 2 sacks. There were some pressures on Jaxson Dart that he was able to scramble away from. You'd like to have no sacks if at all possible. The Giants did get marked off for 6 penalties for 55 yards. I'm sure they'd like to get that number down too. But that's really about it when it comes to negatives in this game. They did lose center John Michael Schmitz, the starting center, to an injured nose and to concussion protocol for this game. We don't know exactly where he'll stand during the week or for the following Sunday's game against the Denver Broncos, but he was unable to finish this game against Philadelphia because of the concussion protocol. That seems to be it as far as injuries go. And, of course, Adam Schlotman, the former Minnesota Viking, wound up finishing the game at center for the Giants. It's important before we get to our specific players in Gameballs and Gassers that we talk about a few significant issues that really established the climate of the game, if you will. The Giants are stressing under Jaxson Dart, starting fast. This is 3 weeks now in a row where they've scored touchdowns on their opening drives. In fact, in this particular game, they scored touchdowns on each of their first 2 drives. And what does that do? It really helps the game flow. It allows not only them to hold on to the context and the tempo of the game, but it also allows them to start to impose their will on both sides of the ball as to how things are going to be dictated the rest of the way. So, why do I bring this up? Well, because the most critical part of this game, if you've watched the Giants in recent years, you know how badly they've been hurt at the end of the first half in 2-minute drill defensive situations. This is commonplace over the last decade. They will give up a field goal or a touchdown going into the locker room, and it invariably puts them in a worse position than they thought they were going to be in. And of course, emotionally and mentally and psychologically, they're on a downer when they give up points going into the break. But the game flow really, really changed itself in this game for the Giants. Let me explain. Late second quarter, the Giants go in for a touchdown on Cam Skattebo's 4-yard plunge behind left guard to take a 20-17 lead over Philly with 1:19 left in the first half. Now, the Eagles had burned all of their 3 timeouts during this Giants scoring drive. So, if you know anything about the Giants in recent years, that's plenty of time for the opposition to tack on a field goal or a touchdown and to impact the game flow. It didn't happen on this night. The Giants stood up and made a stand. It starts with a very difficult kickoff to handle by Jamie Gillen. And I think that's the most important factor that starts this defensive series. Because Gillen's a left-footed kicker, and the ball does come off his foot a little differently, and it can cause issues. So Bigsby winds up muffing his kickoff return. That allows Jones and Hewitt to get down on special teams and tackle him at the Philadelphia 7-yard line. So now they're hoping, if they don't go all the way down the field to get a go-ahead touchdown, at the very least, they're thinking, oh man, could we have at least gotten better field position with no timeouts left to get a game-tying field goal as we walk off into the locker room for halftime. Barkley starts the drive with an 18-yard run to the right. And then A.J. Brown catches consecutive passes of 9 and 9 yards. And now on 1st and 10 from Philly's own 43. The clock is not in their favor at this point. In fact, let me go and check exactly how many seconds are left. We're down to 25 seconds left. Goddard, the tight end, runs out to the right side to catch a short pass, and Dane Belton makes a terrific play to knock it away for a pass defensed, and the incompletion forces a 2nd and 10 from the Philadelphia 43. But they're still in decent position, right? They only need another 20 yards, maybe, if that, to get themselves into field goal range for Elliott, who, as we know, had already hit a 60-yarder a few years ago down at the Lincoln, Philadelphia, against the Giants to beat them. But it's not to be, because on 2nd down and 10 from the Philly 43, Hurts has to roll out of the pocket to the right side because of pressure and throws the ball away out of bounds. Then on 3rd down and 10, Hurts is forced to scramble for 9 yards. But he stays in bounds, and the clock continues to run and run and run. And it hits 0 before the Eagles are even able to get off a play or a time-killing spike. So the Giants survive the drive, and they go into the locker room at halftime with a 20-17 lead. In my opinion, that was an incredibly important drive. Significant in so many ways, because it allowed the Giants to maintain the lead and the game flow. They got the ball to start the 3rd quarter, and they went 3 and out. They held the Eagles to a 3 and out. And then the Giants wound up getting the ball back and going 56 yards on 9 plays. Cam Skattebo with a 1-yard touchdown plunge. And now, midway through the 3rd, the Giants have a 27-17 lead. So do you see how things kind of fell right into the, I don't want to say groove, but certainly gave the Giants an opportunity to maintain control of the game flow, because they did not have to go to the locker room on a down, giving up points that would have either tied the game or put them behind. Huge, in my opinion, huge part of the game right there that so many people are very likely to overlook. In fact, in the 3rd quarter, the Giants defense really started to suffocate Philadelphia. They only allowed Philadelphia 2 possessions in the 3rd quarter. They netted 1 first down and 12 yards of offense on 7 plays from scrimmage. Now, the other thing I want to mention has to do with making plays above the X's and the O's. 2 outstanding contested catches, converting third down opportunities for the Giants on 2 of their touchdown drives in the first half. They scored 3 touchdowns in the half. The first touchdown drive on a 3rd and 12 from their own 44. They're down 3-0, and little Jordan Humphrey on a go route down the right sideline. He's looking for the bomb, and he wrestles away a 34-yard catch from former Giant Adoree Jackson. That gave the Giants a first down at the Philadelphia 22. 3 plays later, Jaxson Dart scrambles for 20 yards and a touchdown as the Giants go up 7-3. Without that third down catch, the contested grab above the X's and the O's, the Giants are forced to punt the ball away on their first possession, down 3-0, and who knows how the game flow changes. Now I take you to the second quarter. We mentioned the Giants had a 20-17 lead with about a minute left in the first half when Philly failed to score. But let's go back a little bit into that drive. With just under 3 minutes to go or so, 3rd and 4 for the Giants from the Philadelphia 33. They're down 17-13 at this point. And Hyatt snares a catch along the right sideline. A contested grab. It's a 5-yard gain and a Giants first down from the Philly 33. He catches the ball down to the 28. First down from the Philly 28. He doesn't make that grab. The Giants are forced to kick a field goal of 51 yards. Maybe Jude McAtamney makes it. Maybe he doesn't. But if he does, the Giants are still down 17-16. But Hyatt makes the catch, gets the Giants a first down. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plays later, Cam Skattebo plunges in from the 4 for a touchdown that gives the Giants a 20-17 lead. Simple. Very simple. The contested catch by Hyatt doesn't provide a huge SportsCenter highlight. It doesn't provide the touchdown. But what it does do, it keeps the drive alive, gives the Giants a chance to take the lead with a touchdown at the end of the possession. It gets lost so easily, but not here on the Big Blue Breakdown. Okay, quickly, let's go through our specific game balls and gassers for the Giants. On offense, we could easily go to any one of the 3 receivers who all stepped up. Jalen Hyatt also, by the way, drew a pass interference penalty in the end zone on Keely Ringo that set up a Giants touchdown. We talked about little Jordan Humphrey with that spectacular contested catch in the first touchdown drive for New York. And Wan'Dale Robinson made a really nifty move down the right sideline for the Giants for their second touchdown of the game. On that particular move, he juked out number 24, and that is Mabuka, the Eagles safety. And that went for a 35-yard touchdown off of a broken play. Jaxson Dart scrambling to his right, finding Robinson down the sideline. He jukes Mabuka, gets a block at about the 5 from Humphrey, and goes into the end zone for the score. We could go to any one of those guys. And we could also go to Jaxson Dart, but we're going to give the offensive game ball to Cam Skattebo. 19 carries, 93 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns on the ground. 3 times when he was at Arizona State, he had scored 3 touchdowns in a game. But here, he does a great job for the Giants. And again, it's not just the 3 touchdowns. He also helped control game flow. In the second half, 11 carries for 67 yards as the Giants pounded it out, kept grinding, worked that lead, and kept the ball out of the hands of Philadelphia by moving the chains. Outstanding game for Cam Skattebo. Defensively, 11 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter. Giants lead 27-17. Third career interception for Cordell Flott as Dotson is going down the left sideline. And Flott comes up with the pick and races 68 yards in the other direction. Perfectly timed pick, showed his ball skills, reached for the ball, and was able to make a perfectly timed takeaway. And so we give Flott the defensive game ball. And I don't think anybody could possibly disagree with that. Just reading through the scribble here, just want to make sure I got this right. And it was a 2nd down and 10 from the Giants 15. Again, left sideline pass for Dotson and the long return of 68 yards for Cordell Flott. Special teams game ball going to Jamie Gillen. 2 of his 4 punts inside the 20. 5 of his kickoffs were forcibly returned, and they averaged less than 17 yards a kickoff return, did the Eagles. Their average start of drive for the day was their own 22. Terrific job by the Giants special teams. We go to the Gassers, and, as I'm going to give mulligans out here for 2 of these Gassers because these guys don't deserve to run any laps, because they also happen to be guys who I thought really did great things in the game. Little Jordan Humphrey had 2 drops in the game for the Giants. Normally, 2 drops is going to get you to have to run some laps. But considering he just came up from the practice squad, the veteran had been with the Broncos before joining the Giants, and then got activated for this game specifically. He had 4 catches for 55 yards, including that big 30-plus yarder on the opening touchdown drive. So we're going to excuse Humphrey from having to run a gasser. Defensively, no sense in giving out any gassers because the Giants performed so well. And on special teams, well, Jamie Gillen, we're going to give you a mulligan too, but we do have to mention the fact that you would have gotten a gasser in any other week because you were short not reaching the landing zone on the opening kickoff of the game. That's a penalty and allowed the Eagles to start the ball game, taking the ball to their own 40-yard line. 6 plays, 36 yards later, Elliott kicks a 42-yard field goal, and Philadelphia draws first blood with a 3-0 lead on the first offensive possession of the game. You don't want to do that. That's not the way to start things off. But again, Gillen was terrific the rest of the way, enough that I'm giving him a game ball, so we are going to give him a mulligan for his special teams gasser. The Giants, of course, are off on Sunday, courtesy of this Thursday night football game. They'll be back the following Sunday when they visit the AFC West's Denver Broncos, and we'll be back with a live edition of the Big Blue Breakdown coming up this Wednesday night. A full show taking your live chats, your live phone calls, and your live video calls right here as part of the New York Giants on SI YouTube channel and media network. Again, the Giants knocking off the Philadelphia Eagles 34-17. We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Big Blue Breakdown, Giants Game Balls and Gassers. We invite you to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Paul Dottino. So long, everybody.